This world made me feel irrelevant, invisible, dispensable, as if I had no value. And it's just not true. Me and a lot of other people who have been discarded are not irrelevant. We do have something to contribute. There are 70 million formerly incarcerated people in this country. We are not going to idly sit by and not reclaim our rightful place in this country. I'm finding that policymakers that I used to just stand face to face with and have a bash out fight, they're like, Susan, I want to help you. When I testified before the commission, I was quite emotional, and the horror of my story, much of it came out there. I'm standing up, demanding that this country delivers on the promise. And the Civil Rights Commission is a part of holding up the opportunity, the laws, and the protections for the promise of this country.
Good evening, everybody. I am happy to be introducing Susan Burton tonight with a new way of life reentry project. I am Elias Garcia. I am head of communications with John for El Segundo for Black Lives. If you, at any point while we're watching tonight, decide you want to help in this project, there is actually going to be some links pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Those are ways in which you can donate goods or other items directly to a new way of life reentry project, or you can donate money to them, or you can donate money to us if you want to visit our website at elsegundoforblacklives@gmail.com or elsegundoforblacklives.com. The @gmail is for something else, which I will now explain. The other part is if you donate to a new way of life reentry project, in our drive, we will give you, assuming you live locally in El Segundo, a El Segundo for Black Lives mask for free. And they are really nice, actually. I've been wearing mine a lot. It is super convenient, and I like the way it looks, too. So I needed a couple of extra ones because I keep losing them in the washing machine. It's really kind of embarrassing, and I'm always like running out the door, scrambling to find one. But so I was very happy to get mine. So please do donate to a new way of life reentry project and send us the receipt at elsegundoforblacklives@gmail.com. We will, as long as you live locally, make sure you get this mask. The other announcement I have before we get into, before we hear from Susan Burton, is going to be the announcement of our yard signs. So let's see, I can share screen on this, right, John? That's something I can do. Let's see, yes, it is. All right, share screen. Application window, let's just go with this. Share. All right, so I believe people should be able to see this now. Can one of the other leaders confirm that? Yes, thank you. So this is going to be a picture of our new yard signs. We'll be getting those out shortly. I believe we might be giving them out for free, but I will have to confirm on the details with that. But definitely check in with our Facebook. Stay tuned to our Facebook and stay tuned to our other social media feeds. Our Facebook is El Segundo for Black Lives Facebook group, and the Twitter is @ES for Black Lives, and the Instagram is @El Segundo for Black Lives. So stay tuned to those, and we will have more announcements on how you can get a yard sign soon. I think that's all for me, so I am now going to be turning it over to Ben Watkins, the head of our City Reform Group.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say thanks to everyone who took the time to join us for this conversation. We are incredibly excited to have Susan Burton joining us for an hour here to talk about her work. And when I found out that Susan was going to be a speaker for us, I jumped at the chance to be involved in this because I'm such a fan of her work and admire everything of what she's been able to pull off from where she came from to where she is now. And I really feel like we can learn a lot from her. Susan Burton, the woman we're about to sit down with, is the founder of A New Way of Life Reentry Project. And the New York Times actually referred to this as a pioneering network of shelter and support programs. And they're for women who are exiting prison. And you saw in the video, if you joined us in time to catch that video, you saw that she has been referred to as a modern day Harriet Tubman. And that's not hyperbole. Ms. Burton, who experienced both incarceration and recovery herself, saw firsthand the obstacles that poor, underserved women of color face when they are sentenced to and then released from prison. The social stigma we all know and racial injustice can combine to create, as Ms. Burton says, a big wall of no between recently released women and then their goals to reunite with family, to find a job, and to restore their civil rights. So since 1998, Ms. Burton has been an activist for communal and community healing, as well as an empowerment and advocacy. And now, New Way of Life Reentry Project specifically, it not only provides legal advice, but also leadership development and advocacy, and has also developed a network of safe housing to serve as many women as possible. And it's a lot. To date, over 1,200 women have been provided for in this manner. And with their empowerment, those women are then able to advocate for so many more of their sisters. Now, just to give you a few of her bona fides, Ms. Burton has an honorary doctorate from UC Riverside. She's been named a top 10 CNN hero. She's received the Citizen Activist Award from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government and is also the author of a 2017 memoir titled Becoming Ms. Burton: From Prison to Recovery to Leading the Fight for Incarcerated Women. And that received a 2018 NAACP Image Award. So she's going to share some thoughts with us for about 20 minutes here. And then we're going to open it up for a Q&A and a conversation. So we thank you for joining us. And we most especially thank Ms. Burton for joining us. We're incredibly honored to have her with us today. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Susan Burton.
Oh, thank you, Ben and Elias. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all the folks at El Segundo for Black Lives. I was home over the weekend and I began to receive some donations, and they was kind of frequent. And I picked up the phone and I started calling, thanking everyone. And they said, we're from El Segundo for Black Lives. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. So great. So thank you all for supporting the work. I'm thinking back to the beginning. In the video, it talked about that we're not dispensable. People are not throwaway people. None of us are throwaway people. And yet I felt like I had been thrown away, and no one was willing to make an investment. And for so long, so long, that's what it seemed. So what happened for me is that I had been through so much childhood trauma, and I kind of learned to navigate different sorts of trauma, different sorts of abuse, different sorts of harms. And in 1982, I had a son. He was 5 years old. His name was KK. He was killed accidentally by an LAPD detective. And at that point, I just could not hold any more pain and grief. My world just shattered. And the pain and the grief of the loss, the police were supposed to be people that served and protect. That's what they have on the side of their car. But in my community, they did not serve and protect. But to lose a son and a policeman doesn't even get out of his car when he runs him over, and the police never even say, Miss Burton, we're sorry for your loss. It was an accident. Just no acknowledgement. I was furious. I was full of rage, pain, and loss, and I began to drink. And I drank alcoholically. I drank to drown the pain. I drank to drown the grief. I drank to drown the rage, and it escalated to drug use. During that period, our communities were saturated with a substance that they called crack. And, later there was so much information that came out about where that crack came from, what it did, and what it funded, and what it fueled, and what we lost. But what happened during that period is that women began to be incarcerated in just droves and droves of women were driven and hunted down in our communities and incarcerated. And I was one of those women. And, it was almost like by some type of chemical warfare that descended upon our community, and all of us felt victim and prey to it, and all of us got incarcerated, and the prisons began to just boom, and there was prisons all over, and we were filling them. And I didn't get incarcerated one time, but it seems like I was on a turnstile of incarceration. And I was incarcerated over a half a dozen times, 6 times. And I asked the courts for help, and I asked my public defender for help, and there was just no help for me. They always chained me, and, I felt like my ancestors going back 100 years being chained and driven off to some foreign place and being captured and made to work. And that's what happened over and over and over and over again. And I didn't know, I didn't know if it would ever stop. But luckily, one day I found a place in Santa Monica. And in Santa Monica, I got help. I found out that I wasn't a bad person. I was a sick person. And I wasn't a throwaway person. I had a lot of value. I started the road to recovery. Now I'm 23 years sober. Each day I get stronger and wiser and more determined. But what I also found was in Santa Monica, people weren't chained and sent to prison and stripped of all their dignity, stripped of their clothing, stripped of their dignity, stripped of their individuality, stripped of their ability to make a choice. Instead there were like an investment, like here's a piece of paper, go to an AA meeting. Here is community service and a piece of paper. Here is drug treatment for you. And I reflected on that, and I began to wonder, why there was never anybody in the court system willing to make an investment into me, and why, through my lifetime, there wasn't the resources in my community that allowed for people to get help instead of people to get chained. I began to question a lot of things. And with that questioning, I began to be determined to help other women like me. So I left treatment after about 100 days and got a job as a caregiver and began to save my money. And when I had saved about $14,000, that was a lot of money for me. And it was a minimum wage job. So I really saved all my money. I didn't spend money on anything, anything hardly. And I moved in with a woman I was taking care of. I was doing, home health aid, and I'd go from senior to senior's house, and I saw how fragile they were, even just trying to stay home in the community, not be sent away, and just needed a little help. And I was able to give that help, and I would arrive, and people would be happy to see me coming, and that was real different for me after years and years of addiction and years. Nobody wanted to see me coming when I got sober. But I saved, and then I got a little house, and I went down to the bus station, downtown Skid Row, where we get off the bus, and I started seeing my friends, and I'd offer them a place to live, a place that was hopeful, clean, drug and alcohol free, and we made a little community of women helping women, and it's just grown from there. I remember I used to sleep in a little cot in the dining room, and I put bunk beds up around the house. And what I knew after I got stronger and I reflected that, I couldn't turn around the years of pain and suffering that I'd experienced, but I could help another woman not spend years of pain and suffering cycling in and out of the prison system. And there was 10 of us in that house, and it was something beautiful. We barely made ends meet, and we all pitched in, and we all paid bills, and we all shared resources, and we all recovered. All of us stayed sober. All of us lives got better. But then I began to notice that there was this wall of no, no, you can't have your kid back. No, you can't have this job. No, you can't have this apartment. No, you can't have food stamps. No, you can't get assistance. And it was painful to be trying so hard and people say no. So I began to speak up in meetings and contest the no's and go to Sacramento and talk to legislators. And I was the squeaky wheel in the room. I was the one that would say everything that anybody wanted to say, but they wouldn't say it. I was the one that said what you really didn't want to hear or you didn't want to be confronted with. And from there till now, the organization has grown, and all of those legislators I used to talk to that told me no, they tell me yes now. They've seen the value of providing support and leadership development. From 22 years ago till now, there's been a whole change in how we're looking at things and how we're looking back at what we've done as a country. It's like there's this reckoning around what has happened and this responsibility as to what can happen if we all wake and we all work toward something different and something good. So when my book came out in 2017, I took it on the road and I went all over the country into prisons and jails, talking to women and doing book signings with them. I raised money and I bought 18,000 books that I call the prison edition book. And I sat with them in jails and I signed their books and I talked to them. And let them know that, you have to fight for your life. I mean, we're waiting on you and we want to support you for your lives to get better, but you have to be willing to fight. It's not easy, but it's possible. And what I saw was just the horrors of this nation, women locked up over and over and over and over again. And I asked them what happened, and they say there's nowhere for me to go when I leave here. No one wants to help me. No one accepts me back but the old crowd. So what I did is I launched this program, a training program called SAFE. And SAFE stands for Sisterhood Alliance for Freedom and Equality. And I train people all over the nation and support them to open houses in their respective communities. We need a lot of change in a lot of places for people to go. We need to decarcerate this country, and we need to support those that are coming back with real support, housing, jobs, a place to heal, a place to understand how important their lives are. And so that's the next phase of the work that I'm doing. And we're in 14 states. And I went over to Uganda, and women leave there barefoot and without clothing, walking miles and miles, trying to get back to their community. And we opened a place over in Uganda. I supported them to start a place. But I'm very, very happy and glad to be able to do this, to be able to be here with you. And it seems like the more that I get, the more that I give, the more that I get to give, and the more that I love, the more love I get to have, and the more patience I practice, the more patience I get. And I mean, it's just so different. I'm no longer living a life of pain and discouragement. My life's gotten so much better, and other people's lives has gotten better. I've been able to reunite about 400 children with their parents. And while I know, I can't bring my son KK back, I've been able, when I walk in the houses where the kids are, they just run over to me and hug me and Miss Burton, Miss Burton, Miss Burton. And that's beautiful and that's lovely. And, that love has multiplied too, because when you lose someone or like I lost my child, the love for that child still lived. And I needed a place to put that love. And a new way of life has been that place. And so it just grows and grows and grows. So I also want to I'm gonna wrap up, but I also want to thank you all. This morning, I went out to one of the houses for morning meditation, and I was able to give each woman a package of bath products, a nice big package too, really, really nice package. And they were so happy and they were so thankful. And it all came from you all. And so I just want to say thank you. And then I went to the P.O. box, and then there was some toothpaste and other products in there. And it was from Segundo for Black Lives. So I just want to say thank you. They say it takes a village, and you are part of my village. Thanks so much. So I guess there are questions that might want to be answered.
Yes. Yeah, and I want to start off we'll give people time. For those who are watching, if you have any questions, the way to get them on our radar is to make a comment and then we'll be tracking those comments, and then we'll be joined momentarily by John Pickhaver of El Segundo for Black Lives, and he'll help moderate the questions coming in. But I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask first, so I get first slot. First of all, thank you.
Moderator's privilege.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'm exercising my moderator privilege. Ranked a little bit below white privilege, but it's still good. And first of all, thank you so much. I mean, the legacy of your work, what you're doing is so important and it's so needed, and it's so I think it doesn't get the notice that it deserves. First of all, just because it's great work, but also because you still need support. There are many people out there who need support. And in listening to you talk about how you sort of came into this work, and it sounds like it was a little bit organic in the sense that you started thinking about the obstacles that you were already up against, and then as you started to overcome them, you felt the need to see if you could help other people who you knew were going to face the same obstacles. But I wonder, was there something inside of you? So was that the only inspiration, or was there something inside of you even from a young age where you were community minded, or did this change you?
I think that, my mom, we lived in Aliso Village, the projects over in East LA as a kid. And, I remember my mom, when someone came to the door, she had 5 potatoes. I have 5 brothers, so there were 6 of us. And she had 5 potatoes, and these people knocked on the door hungry, and she gave them 2 of them. And she had, 6, 7 people to feed. So I think, and then our home was always the home where everybody came to. So there was always this something about community, about giving, about connection. That I possessed, I believe. Right. And that kept me going probably through all of the childhood harms and traumas also.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're in a situation, I think you mentioned that your organization is present in 14 states. You also mentioned there's a presence in Uganda.
Yeah. So let me say that it's not actually a new way of life. People in other communities that are replicating our model.
Gotcha.
Sometimes, I don't want to be the be all and the end all, when people need to be empowered in their own communities to be a part of that community and guide that community. So what we have is a model that's been recognized by UCLA as a effective model. It's about to be, SAMHSA has just written an article that's coming out not next month, in March, about this model, of it being an effective model that it doesn't fix people. It supports people to heal and supports people to become their own best self.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something, it points to 2 things I think are crucial, and I think it's crucial for everyone to hear, in terms of you taking incremental steps to solve an immediate problem, and yet it having a far-reaching impact. Because a lot of people, especially if they see problems that feel too big, they're almost overwhelmed, and that feeling of being overwhelmed can sometimes stop you from taking even the smallest step. But I mean, your story is such a great example of someone who's like, let me handle a problem that's right in front of me in my own way, even if it's small. Yeah. And then now we see that what it has spawned, and such as, that it's now spread out and influenced so many other people doing the same thing. And that's the second piece, which is really inspirational for me, is, when you mention people that you've helped that then feel the desire and are now equipped to turn around and offer that same hand.
Exactly. And I mean, we have to multiply good work. That's the way that we're going to, change the world and make a bigger impact and, give hope. And along with hope, hope can spur and have hope and faith and the works that go behind that. Yeah.
That's right. Now, given that, so there's what we do as individuals, and then what we do collectively.
Right.
There's also an aspect of tapping into resources that are out there, whether they be government or faith-based or other places that don't necessarily, that may have the want but not necessarily know how to most effectively serve a community. And you've obviously found a way to give them a way to channel some of that goodwill. But can you give me an idea of some of the partners that over the course of this work that you've had? Maybe you're still working with some of them, or maybe there were some key moments where you were able to partner with institutions to help make this even more effective.
Yeah. So, our board of supervisors, our county, they've been great partners. They believe in what I do here. There have been, so the social work department at UCLA has been very instrumental and a great partner in elevating and evaluating our model. There has been the California Endowment and the California Wellness. There's been, just lately here, the Ford Foundation has kind of said, we've watched you and you're doing good work. And then the Community Coalition, the National Association of Social Workers have been one that has came in and said the work is good. But there's been, so many, and I mean, I couldn't have never done all that has happened just alone by myself.
Right.
It takes so many and so much to actually build and hold together what's happened here at A New Way of Life. We have the UCLA Critical Waste Studies Department who partners with us to do legal services, and we have from that school we have about 6 lawyers on staff here that just help the community expunge records, get licensed, hold other employers accountable. But there's been a lot of partners along the way.
That's fantastic.
El Segundo for Black Lives.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, we're honored, and we're so glad that our small contribution. I mean, it's just a small token of appreciation that we're glad that it was well received. But again, one of the reasons I really wanted to be in conversation with you is because what you just talked about is such a great example of somebody who is identifying an issue, taking small steps to start addressing that issue, and then the momentum builds from there. And that's what I want to keep reminding people of, how you can start to build these coalitions and build this momentum, even when you're just taking a small step to begin with. And in your case, there wouldn't have been anyone better to start figuring out the best way to solve this problem, because you were the person who was encountering these problems.
Yeah.
I want to, I got some more questions for you myself, but we're starting to stack up a little bit in the comments section. So I want to bring in John Pickhaver, and he's going to sort of, do some cherry picking in the comments section, and we'll throw a few other questions from our viewers your way.
Okay.
Yes. Hi, Susan. Thank you again. We had a few questions come in. The first few were kind of similar, so I'm going to do my best to combine them. Do you have any thoughts about concrete actions white people in particular can take to put their privilege to work for non-white people, in particular those who have been harmed by institutional racism in the criminal justice system?
Yeah. So we must continue to have conversations. Excuse me. We have to continue to have conversations, and we have to call out on the spot when racism peaks its ugly head. And that's not to make anybody uncomfortable, but it's to really reckon with it. So that's one thing I believe that we can do to, to call attention to what's happening and why we're thinking like we're thinking. So trust and belief in possibilities is something that we have to begin to lean into and step out away from doubt and fear. I think that is much of what the racism is rooted in. When you look at someone or some people, but a Black person, can you see the possibilities for their life? Can you see what an opportunity might do or bring to that person? So we, walk around, and a lot of times we can extend opportunity to people, and doubt or fear will stop us. So what I'm encouraging is to walk through that doubt, walk through that fear, extend the opportunity, and then you get to feel the joy and the happiness from that action that you took. At least I do.
Yeah,
I feel it all the time.
That's a great point, because I think a lot of people, even people who might call themselves, active and community minded, don't realize how ingrained and indoctrinated they've been by, society. So when they see certain people from different populations, they already impose limits on them.
Yeah.
And that can be a self-defeating thing, but it's even worse when it's coming from the outside.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if there's an opportunity, there's a hand that can be lent, but you've already, put a ceiling on what that person is capable of, then you may not take that step or walk through that doubt. Yeah. As you mentioned, I think that's great. I also want to just go back to what you said about calling out racism on the spot. Yeah. And I think that for a lot of white people, they're in, so there are a lot of conversations that happen that people of color are not part of. And so, no matter what the theories are, no matter what the philosophies are, if we're not in that situation, a lot of times it's white people at work, or white people at church, or white people at a family gathering, and some form of racism rears its head, and as unfamiliar as it is, that's the time to start the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you can even, we can even question it and ask, why is that like that? Where did that come from? And, and take it, like there, that's a call out even.
That's right. You don't have to make it a knockdown drag out. I mean, it can really be an honest question to at least spark that conversation. One of the reasons I think it's so important when I'm talking to white friends, and I have white family members, same situation. I'm talking to, white family members, and we both know that there are parts of our family that when they're having a conversation, it's a different one. And they're in that. And my thing is, and they're like, well, that person's never going to change their mind. That might be true, but when you're at a Thanksgiving meal or you're at a church coffee or something like that, you might not change that person's mind, but by asking that question, you make sure that they're not indoctrinating everyone around them.
Yeah.
So it's still important. Don't just say, well, I'm not going to have mention it because that person's too far gone, because you don't want them to be influencing everyone else around there unchecked.
So you can chip away at it. It might not happen today, but you just keep chipping and keep chipping, don't give up. Don't just say it's a lost cause.
That's right.
Causes are not lost.
Yeah. I know you can speak to that better than anybody. I had one of my questions about the houses situation. You mentioned you went to one of the houses in the area. How many houses are operating right now in our area?
So we have 10 homes now, going from Long Beach to where's Montebello. From Long Beach to Montebello.
Wow. Okay.
What I always say is now I'm in 3 districts. I'm in Hans district, I'm in Hattie Mitchell's district, and I'm in Hill's district. Those are my 3 votes.
That's right.
I want to happen across the board of supervisors, right? Those are my 3 votes. So that's my.
It won't be long till you got the majority of the board.
That's my advocacy hat, right? I got my 3 votes.
I love it. All right, John, I don't want to monopolize. John, if you want to jump in with another audience question. I think you might be muted.
All right. Our next question is from Nicole, and she asks, Black women rank low on the spectrum of privilege. How do you think we can turn the conversation of feminism or Black Lives Matter into one that specifically addresses the issues that Black women face uniquely?
Oh, so that's a good one. So I think that I'll say me as a Black woman, I really reach out and support other Black women and try to make a pathway to, I think, make a pathway for them to rise. But I think there's something that's scary and somewhat intimidating about us as Black women. I don't know if it's our strength. I don't know if it's our love. I don't know, but I think there's something frightening for other folks around Black women. But the other part is that I think there's something really that's reverent and respectful about Black women in the world. So I think this is a question we need to take to Kamala. What do you think? I think this is something that we could really take to Kamala. So maybe there's a new dawning around here around Black women.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, between Kamala and Michelle, that's something that maybe we need to take to them to or elevate what they represent and have what they have become as Black women. Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of Kamala, do you feel? I mean, how do you feel, and how do the women that you're helping feel about this new administration? Is it a cause for much hope for them, or do they really feel like, business as usual? Where they're at, they don't feel the impact.
So I don't know that the women coming straight in, those that have been around me a while, they are feeling the impact. And then we did a lot of voter registration and voter engagement and voter mobilization for the last election. But I think everybody feels that the orange man is gone. Mm-hmm. And that just how he made us look as a country, as a people, everybody, even the dog might say the orange man is gone. Our pets might say the orange man is gone. But that was so ridiculous. So I think everybody really just is, or a lot of people. I won't say everybody, because that Capitol building riot was outrageous. I'd say everybody, but most of us that voted say that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I have a question. This one's a little bit about numbers. Now, we got, I think the number we got for the amount it costs to incarcerate a woman in California State Prison is around $75,000 per year.
Yeah.
I think that was the number they gave me. I want to compare that to, if you have it, the number it costs to support and house a woman through your program over the course of a year.
So it's $16,000 to support a woman through a new way of life, and at the end of a year, you have someone who is just stand up, outright, get down, working, employed, parenting, ambitious, and on the path of healing, and much different from the way people walk out of a prison gate.
So literally almost $60,000 more to do the prison thing.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any sense of the how much more increased their chances of leaving your program and staying in an engaged, productive way of life? Because we know the recidivism rates are high. Do you have any idea statistically how much of a difference it makes if they go through the new way?
Yeah, so we are 90% success, and I believe that, that is because of our approach, our flexibility to work with people and meet them and help them, and sometimes hold their hand, wipe their tears, stand them up, have accountability, but also having flexibility. Like there's no throwaway people, and they might have a quirk here and there. That's all right. Who don't? And giving them the ability to feel like their lives matter, and then they begin to believe their lives matter, and so we have a really high success rate.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know part of that success rate has to do with getting them ready to be in the workforce, and I'm wondering about what that process is in terms of helping them get ready for it and then get placed into jobs. And one of the reasons I'm asking that is because I'm wondering about partnerships with different businesses that may make room for them. Is that in place?
Yeah, so we have a employment and workforce development department. We have 2 people there now. We're building that department out, but we have the work placement, and then we have the piece around retention, around how do you stay on a job? How do you work through problems, either real or perceived? And we have counselors. We have a therapist here that helps people. So job is a part of overall being in the community, because the idea is not to stay at it. While we don't put a time limit on how long people can stay, and I think that's another reason for our success. We make sure people are ready when they leave. So we have 10 houses, and five of those houses are independent homes. So once people are working, they can go to the independent home, and they just make their own community and there at the independent home, and they can stay there as long as they need to, or as long as they want to. But the thing is for them to really be ready and employed, or through school. Some people go to school full time at a new way of life. So whatever it is that you want to do.
And however long it takes you to do that.
And however long it takes you to do that. I
That's
mean,
great.
I had one woman that stayed 7 years, and I went to her when she was about 4 years, and I said, aren't you ready to move forward? And she said, Miss Burton, why do I have to leave? Miss Burton, I feel safe here, and I'm not ready to go. And I'm like, okay, so why do you have to leave? You don't have to leave.
That's
And when
beautiful.
she left, she got married. She actually runs Homeboy's catering department.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I mean, she didn't have to leave. And the other part is that she really held that house down really well. She wasn't having no shenanigans there.
Right. So
yeah.
she was basically a nice lieutenant in there.
Exactly.
I know we're running short on time, John. So I got two more questions. I want to get one more from the audience before we end on those.
Yeah, so we have a question from Anya. She's on our leadership team for Else Gunner for Black Lives. And she's wondering, are there any pitfalls that you've seen community organizations fall into that we can hope to avoid, us being a new organization ourselves?
So I've seen people fall into pitfalls around resources and around power. So you don't want to let resources do a mission creep, that somebody comes along and says, well, you're doing this, but I'll give you resources to do that. And that's not what you do. I've seen resources, especially in the service industry, dictate how people treat people. And they become ineffective for their clients, but they get money to basically shuffle people around. Yeah. There was a second part to your question, John. I think I missed that.
Well, you mentioned, aside from resources, you also mentioned the power question within an organization.
Yeah. So sometimes I've seen people get so powerful, there's no room for nobody or nothing else. And it sort of becomes like a dictatorship. And you want to make room for thoughts, other people's ideas. You want to make room for everybody to actually be a part of the whole. I'll put it like that, a part of the whole. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, I got a couple more questions. John, feel free to
was there another part of your question, John? I feel like there was another part.
That was great. I think you got it all. We were just looking for some common pitfalls and how to avoid them, and that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay.
So my penultimate question has to do with just if you might share with us maybe anecdote about a particular woman that's recently gone through the program, what they were facing, and how they were overcoming it, their background and into a success story.
So I don't know how many of you have read the book, but in the prologue of the book, there's a woman by the name of Ingrid. She was arrested for child endangerment when she ran into the store to get the kid some milk. And, I see this happen in other neighborhoods, and woman is not charged with child endangerment. She's given resources. She's given support. She's given help. So Ingrid had all of her children displaced all around the city when she got arrested for making a mistake, a bad choice. And when she got home, her life was in disarray and her children were all over. So now Ingrid has all of her children. She's in market rate rent. She runs the civic engagement and leadership development department at A New Way of Life.
Wow.
Uh, she has for this election. She ran voter registration and get out the vote in Georgia. And we won Georgia.
Yeah.
She ran the Prop 17 campaign at A New Way of Life. She went to Florida for Amendment 4 to reinstate the vote in Florida. She is a shining star, and the only way she gets to shine is that there was an investment made in her to support her to get her life together. But I see it over and over and over again. What a small investment for a short period of time can change the entire trajectory of a person's life.
That's fantastic. And it's a good setup for this last question, which, at least for me, which is talking about anything specific in terms of what's next for New Way of Life, and how people can support, the best way for people to support New Way of Life.
Yeah, so I think the next thing is to take all of the knowledge that I've gained and pass it on. I'm like 70 now. We don't live forever and ever and ever. So building, like I have 10 houses here. What does it mean to scale across Illinois? What does it mean for a person that I'm training to scale across Detroit? What does it mean to scale across Nevada? And these are all places that I've trained people, and I've supported them to begin to open their homes there. Their homes are open. And like Illinois, I'm talking to the governor there and asking the governor to partner with WIN. The place is called WIN for Recovery. And she has 2 houses now. So we want to put 30 across the entire state of Illinois. And the governor is talking to us about it. So it's to build community back to heal from the effects of mass incarceration.
And how can people support that? I mean, what are the best ways for people to support that?
They can go to Donate Now, and they can give money. They can talk to their own city council or their board of supervisors about what they're doing to create space in the community. I'm not the only person that can do this. Lots of us can do that. And I don't know when COVID is going to end, but when COVID ends, I'm going to do a new training. So they can go to the website, actually, and there's a drop down called SAFE. They can register for training and be trained on opening one of these homes. I started in my own home. So if you got a few bedrooms or 2 that's empty, you could even welcome somebody home and support them to get on their feet.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Again, I'm gonna always keep going back to even these small, people people not realizing just how much of a difference they can make if they go to help, and address an immediate problem. Even if it's taking that incremental step, it really does have a chance to blossom.
It does. It does. And in the process, you get a little patience, because it just isn't a flat road there. There's a couple of bumps there. But if you have a dream about helping or doing something, don't be deterred. Be fulfilled.
That's great. And also, and I know we can donate money. Can you also donate goods? If you say, let's say you want to, donate products, is that through Donate Now, or should we contact through the website?
There's a registry that is going around. You guys, stuff is flying in the door, and the women are getting really nice hygiene items. So there's a registry to buy products, panties. We never have enough panties, and you can't pass around panties. You can't donate panties. So we have to buy new panties. So there, when I went to the post office today, I did the mail run today, so I still do it all. And there was a package of women's underclothing there, and they're going to use that.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have to say you're wearing 70 very well.
Thank you.
That caught me off guard when you said that. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've gone over, and I apologize for taking too much of your time. But I want to say thank you again. I really hope that we can consider this the beginning of a partnership and an ongoing conversation. I know we have a lot to learn from you, and I know that we want to do what we can to support your work and get involved with that. And I also, for me, what you said, there are no lost causes. I just feel like that's a mantra that is a lot of us can live by. And I really appreciate all you're doing, all your organization is doing, and I appreciate you taking this hour.
Yeah, well, when COVID gets over, I'd love. We have a place out in Montebello that has a huge yard and a lot of space. So when this is over, please reach back to me. Let's get together and have some tea and cookies and donuts, and we'll walk around and have a in-person visit. I'd like to invite you all. So please, reach back to me and let's get together.
Oh, you can count on that. Then the caravan will be gassed up and ready to go as soon as the smoke clears on this COVID situation.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Susan.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.
And for those of you who are watching and who joined us, I want to thank you again. I want to thank you for being involved, period. I want to thank you for coming in and spending some time with such a wonderful hero in the community like Susan Burton. But before you go, I want to hand it back to my fellow group member at El Segundo for Black Lives, Elias Garcia, to bid you farewell with a couple of little notifications and announcements to take with you.
Yep. Yeah, like Ben said, wow, that was awesome. That interview was awesome, Ben. Thank you, Susan Burton. That was so cool. I might rewatch this later. So we will try to get this uploaded to YouTube pretty much ASAP so that people can watch it, and we'll probably post it to the Facebook and maybe the Instagram TV as well, all the platforms. Speaking of platforms, make sure to follow us at El Segundo for Black Lives on Facebook, at El Segundo for Black Lives on Instagram, at ES for Black Lives on Twitter, and also you can check out our website and join our mailing list at elsegundoforblacklives.com or .org, not .com, .org, because we are an organization. So go ahead and check us out there if you want to donate directly to us. There is an option there, and a reminder that don't miss out your chance to get a free mask from us. I guess for your by donating to the drive that we are doing right now. I guess I should also mention that we started this drive as as in remembrance of Martin Luther King Jr. As a day of service was part of the idea for this drive. So a reminder of the original intent behind starting this particular drive, though of course I'm happy we're doing it regardless because it's for a good cause. So yeah, be sure to follow us. We will have the updates on the yard signs soon, and I look forward to seeing all of you at our next event. Thanks everybody for coming. This was fun. And till next time.